Welcome to the Soul Wisdom Project, the living blueprint of the soul, with me, Shakti Bottazzi, your host. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your daily life as if something inside you is trying to get your attention? As an international teacher, shaman, and energy healer, I will bring the tools of a lifetime to guide you to explore how to live consciously, awaken your innate wisdom, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Each episode blends grounded conversation with multidimensional insight, guiding you to release old patterns, align with your higher intelligence, and live awake, aware, and fully present. The Soul Wisdom Project with me, Shakti Bottazzi, starts now. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Wisdom Project. I'm super excited to be with you today because the topic of today's show is something that I breathe and live with every day. It's been a challenge for many years of my life. And it is really what's at the bottom of the question: what if you have lived this before? And this is a profound topic that can go in a million directions. And I hope that today's conversation can help you gain some clarity about where you're in your life, those awarenesses you're having in this crazy and wonderful moment on earth, and also to help you understand that yearning that you have inside. Why is it there? And I'm hopeful that I will bring you tools for you to be able to use them and live more of that beautiful life that you're meant to be, that life that you're yearning to live, and to really express all of who you are. So let's dive right in. You can see, if you're not in a podcast, you will see that I have an odd background today, and it's on purpose. It's a background for those of you who are not seeing it that has some columns as if you were in an Egyptian temple, and at the very end there's a door, and it's filled with light and with some sacred geometry. And I chose a background, which is rare for me to use a background, because I wanted the background to hold the frequency for this conversation about the fact that what we do, what we be, who we are, what we think is real and tangible may not be quite so, may be actually us as souls having an earthly experience, and truly our multi-dimensional beingness is really what's only truth. And I want to bring forth this concept that truly we are in a virtual game. And the topic of today's show came because last week, I think, I was taking a shower, and showers and cooking time and driving time are those times when we go into a special of a trance mode. It's like you're cooking and chopping veggies, and you're not really into chopping veggies, so your mind is busy doing a task that you know very well how to do, as is driving, as is taking a shower, for example. And so there's room for that inside of the higher self to come forth. And I began laughing because I thought, well, what if? What if really we're living a simulation? Like I'm sure you've heard around. This is a simulation. And now that AI is coming forth and fast and furious and being embedded everybody everywhere, well, now we will have a simulation of a simulation inside a simulation. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think that my mind can take all of that craziness in. And so I'm like, this is something we have to have a conversation about. And that's why today is about the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that we are truly multidimensional, and that oftentimes we can see that in very simple things, even if you are not taking those as such. So today, I'm hoping you're going to really walk away with that clarity about having that spiritual experience on Earth, on this cosmic bodysuit, and this Earth school, and how time works, and how you may be having multiple lifetimes simultaneously. I know, crazy concept. And how the yearnings, the memories, the longings you have are key for you. And I want you especially to be able to walk away with what to do with all of that. We have been here before. We have been here on Earth, and most likely we have been here on the universe in many other planets. And I realize that this conversation may be a little bit out there for you. So I'm inviting you to open your mind and say, what if? Let's listen to Crazy Shakti and what if? What if what she's saying has something that is true? I'm inviting you to listen with your whole being, with your body, with your mind, with your intellect, and to see what resonates with you. Because when somebody is speaking a truth that you are not necessarily in your mind saying, oh, yeah, that's true, your whole being knows that the words coming through are true. Sometimes, if you are a kinesthetic person, kinesthetic means that you feel life in your body in the senses that are like tactile, and like touch, because some of us are more visual, and so we see things in our inner mind or inner eye. Some of us are more auditory, and so we hear words, we hear thoughts. So if you are more kinesthetic, if you process reality and get information also through your body, your somatic responses, you may have chills as I speak, you may have goosebumps as I speak, and know that those are your beingness recognizing the words I'm putting out there. If you're more auditory or visual, you may have similar experiences of seeing me and just knowing or hearing to the words I'm saying and just knowing that they ring true to you or that you've heard them before. Or maybe you're fully into this conversation and you already know you have lived before on Earth, and you already know that you've had experiences or memories about past lives. And this conversation is for you too, because I'm going to take it all the way. So the question on the table is, what if you've lived this before? This earth, this experience, this earth mostly, right? On this earth. And this brings multiple questions, and we could take this conversation in so many paths. And I think I may take more than one show to take it in many paths. But let's start with the the hypotheses. Let's accept this hypothesis that we are a soul having an experience on earth. As such, we are multidimensional beings. We're not just humans. We're not just the skin that you see. And as you've heard before, if you're following the show, we have several energetic bodies. We're like this big and more, and we can expand into more. And that's our energy field going beyond what we see as the denser matter, which is the skin, which is also energy, just moving very slowly. And the fact that there's a huge spirit, which is this cosmic, universal creation force. And we are just a tad of that huge source. And it's having an experience. And we call that tad, that little aspect, we call it soul. And that soul is here playing, learning. And when we come down to earth, when we decide, okay, I'm going to incarnate. Why that word? It comes from Latin. It means incarne, incarnare, incarnate. Carne means meat, in body, incarnate. So as we decide to come into The body, we actually have a beautiful team with whom we plan this journey, this school, the lessons we're here to learn. And we have this team made of higher aspects of ourselves, made of our divine team, our other teachers of us, and loving beings that we've incarnated with before, and beings from many realms and from also off planet existences beyond what's known as the veil. And we plan everything. And I've spoken about this before in the show. And so you plan a road and you plan certain milestones that you are always going to hit. You're going to hit those milestones. And regardless of the choices you make, you may go path A, path B, path C, path D, whatever. But if one of the lessons you wanted to learn on earth was, let's say, to have a loving relationship that is fulfilling, but to get there, you had to learn and release some of the traumas that you're bringing from past lives, past experiences on earth, then you will meet those people to help you get there. And let's say you're done and you're ready to meet that soulmate, that person that you really are ready to have that beautiful experience. And the person comes into your life and you don't recognize each other. Either you recognize them, but then don't remember the agreement, or vice versa. And like two ships in the middle of the ocean, you keep going in your routes and you miss it. You miss that opportunity. Well, don't worry, because that is one of those milestones. You said, I'm going to have this experience regardless. Therefore, person B, soulmate, is going to come along. And let's say again, you don't recognize each other. Well, off you go. Don't worry. Person C is going to come along until you remember. And then you're going to have the experience. So doesn't that make you relax a little bit? Like, okay, so you can't mess it up, really. Not a lot. You can mess it up quite a bit if you keep messing it up, right? But in the end, you will get there if you keep at it and you keep moving through the process. So the first thing about all of this is that because of what I'm saying, the soul knows what the soul knows. And I'm asking you, how many times have you had this knowing that you know what you know? You just know it. And no matter what anybody tells you, you just know that you know it. Nobody can tell you that you don't know what you know. Personally, a lot of times. And I know this is quite true for everybody. And that's because of several things. One of the aspects is that inside, because you carry these codes, then you know that there's memories pulling up and that tell you, oh, that vibrates with me. I should follow that path. They're what I call the cosmic breadcrumbs. And the cosmic breadcrumbs are really indicating the path for you. Because as you come into this body in this lifetime, you have chosen this type of body, tall, short, culture, tribe, languages, um, continent, country, skin colors, eyes, curly hair, long hair, or flat hair, whatever it is. And you've chosen this because for this lifetime, you've chosen this earth lineage. And when I mean this earth lineage, I mean this family, the great, 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 great grandparents, and then the great, great, great grandparents, and then the great grandparents, and then your mother, your father, yourself, your siblings, and your future lineage. And you've chosen that, and therefore, through that biology, you get this body, which is by design too. The body is here to hold you and to be part of the team that you have on earth. Our bodies are always wanting what's best for us. And we've spoken in other shows about how when we get disease, lack of ease, lack of harmony, is our bodies telling us, hey, you've veered off path. You've gotten lost. But this is a huge topic we can unpack in another conversation. So for now, let's just remember the body wants what's best for you, even when it doesn't seem like or feel like or look like, because you are getting sick or whatever it is, the body's not letting you do what you're wanting to do. So the first question to ask yourself is, why is it that I'm being stopped in what I want to do? Maybe you're veered off path. And so the body is stopping you from veering off path and it's helping you course correct. So here we have one part of the conversation. The other part of the conversation is that we've also chosen to come to Earth at this time, at this momentous, insane, wonderful time where ascension is happening and when there's a crumbling, literally a crashing more than a crumbling of old systems and structures, because a new world, a new earth, a new order is ready to be birthed. And that can only be done with every one of us doing our part. This is no longer some big hero is going to come save us. We are the heroes of the story, each one of us. And we're not meant to be doing it alone. And we need help and we need to find our tribe so that we feel safe and we can gather our forces when we need to breathe. Like any hero needs to take a moment and recover energy before going back into battle. So do we, because life is challenging lately. And we've all been here, right? We're all here. We all feel and see these challenges. So there's this story about where are we in time? And that's why I want to bring time and add it to the equation. Time as a linear construct is only here on Earth where we have the three-dimensional experience. The linear construct that is time is really simply because we are on 3D. If we want to go from point A to point B, there's no way other than walking there or driving there or flying there or sailing there. And as we do that, time passes. So it's time and space. But what if we can bring our minds to understand, which is really difficult to understand, the concept that time is really not linear. And my gosh, physicists have been speaking about this forever and a day. Thank you for the theory of relativity, Einstein, who began bringing this concept. Well, what if time is, envision this enormous mass of water like a big, big lake, and imagine every droplet in that lake being one point in time. And imagine that the droplets on the surface are this time where you are right now listening to me. Well, that would mean that in that mass of water in the depths of the lake, there's droplets of you being in a lifetime in Greece and in a lifetime with the natives of First Nation of some country, or that you've been in the prehistoric times, or you've been a cave woman, or you've been in Egypt. And every drop in that pond or in that lake or in that ocean is a moment in time that you have been on Earth, because linearly you say you have been. But what if you're actually in there right now and you can tune into that time? Bring what we bring past life regressions, right? Past life regressions. So I've studied past life regressions with Brian Wise, who is an amazing teacher. And if you don't know of him, Brian Wise, Weiss, I recommend you buy the book. Many Lives, Many Masters is an amazing book. It's quite old now, but it's his story of how he discovers past lives It's a wonderful book. I really recommend it. So moving on with this past lives, I can tell you that I speak about this with such vehemence because I've had memories. And when I studied past life regressions with him, the first ever time that he guided the group into a past life regression, I was concerned. I'm like, oh, maybe I won't be able to go anywhere. I won't remember anything. And I'll just, be here and whatever. So I surrendered to the experience and I was transported into a lifetime in Scotland. This was my first ever past life regression. And in the guidance, he guide us to look at our hands, our feet, our clothing. Where are we? Who are we with? It's fascinating how real that is. It's more real than if you are having a dream. It's as real as if you are remembering being out for dinner with your friends yesterday. That's how real it is. And I saw myself in that past lifetime. I was male in a male body. I could see the details of my hands, the veins on my hands, the hairs, the blonde hairs on my hand. I could see how I was dressed. I could see my feet, the mud in on my toes, and I could sense, feel, and know that in that lifetime I was married to this woman who is the soul in this lifetime of my husband. Ooh, and that we had one son and is my youngest son in this lifetime. And it was such an emotional journey that when we came back into the room, I was stunned because it was as if I had been with them in the other room 2 days ago. It wasn't like this foreign concept or diluted idea that I had been there. The details I saw, the information, the feeling, just like when you are in the living room and you're kind of snoozing and your son or your husband or your mom or somebody you love comes into the room and you have your eyes closed and you know who the person that comes into the room is because you can sense each one of us carries such an essence that with our eyes closed we can sense who that other person is. That's how you know in a regression who is this person you are meeting in the regression. So as we open up to this possibility, then we also have to understand that we've had, for the most part, at least 700 lifetimes on Earth. And for the ones that are more evolved, we've been here at least, and I put myself in that category. No, I'm not trying, I'm joking, but we've been here at least 900, 1,000 lifetimes. So you cannot possibly remember all 1,000 lifetimes. Not possible. It would be crazy. Can you imagine if you have to have a recollection of 1,000 different lifetimes and things that happened and the sufferings that happened in 1,000 lifetimes? It would be insane. So what we do is that, as I said earlier, we bring a plan for this lifetime. And in this blueprint, that's the famous divine blueprint, we choose that we are going to heal things that we didn't finish healing in past lifetimes. And therefore, we can have access to memories, especially specifically of those lifetimes that had the issues that we are here to finally resolve. Does that make sense? So, what I'm saying is that you're not going to have access to all 1,000 lifetimes or 800 lifetimes because it would be crazy. So, you are prepared to be able to access memories of lifetimes that are related to what you're here to heal, learn, and grow from, and become who you're here to become. The same way in which you would have access to childhood memories, just the same way in which you remember that when you were 3, you were yelled at and that created a feeling of inadequacy. Well, you can remember that in that lifetime in the 1800s, something similar happened and your husband abandoned you and you have feelings of inadequacy and whatever. So that's how that works. And as you begin to open up to that, more and more of that information comes forth. And sometimes you need to go and work with somebody like myself or somebody else who opens up that aspect in the multidimensional field and can tell you many things about what's happening beyond the veil. Now, beyond that, so sorry, let's wrap up that. In this moment, therefore, you're here on a path that has a personal journey, a personal growth journey. Healing, releasing trauma, growing, becoming more of who you are. And when I say becoming more of who you are, I mean literally let go of the conditionings that is all of the conditioning that are, not is, that are keeping you playing small, that are holding you back from truly expressing your authentic, beautiful self in all of its glory. And many of us have a path that we're going to be doing that individually as we interact one-on-one with the world because we designed it that way. And some of us have it in a one to many, one to the tribe, one to the collective. Clearly, I'm one to the collective because I have this role of teaching, of sharing. It's part of why I'm here. I'm very aware of that. And as we move through our lives, because we chose this moment on earth, we're also here on a bigger timeline, which is the timeline of what's happening to earth and to humanity. And we're going to go into a break in a moment, but before we go to the break, I'm going to tell you again that that's why I chose the background that I have today, which has this big, beautiful, golden lit doorway behind me to signify both the doorways to the other dimensions, so the multi-dimensional veils, but also the doorways that we step through while we're living here on Earth and how they relate to our experience on Earth. So when we come back, we're going to address the access to the multidimensionalities, the doorways we step through, and then how come those desires, those yearnings, and everything you feel are really here for you, and how to harness the power of that information. So we're going to take that back right after the break. We're going to take a break now. Thank you. Hi, I'm Shakti Bottazzi. In August 2027, I'm inviting you to join me in Luxor, Egypt, where a total solar eclipse will cast 6 minutes of sacred darkness over one of the most powerful lands on Earth. I'll be there guiding an initiation journey at the exact convergence of the solar eclipse and a few days later, the Lion's Gate portal on 8/8, a moment of profound alignment, activation, and transformation, the start of a new era for humanity. If you feel the pull, if you know you're here for something more, this is your invitation to step beyond the ordinary and into a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We'll walk through ancient temples, gather in sacred ceremony, and cross a cosmic threshold together, something that won't happen again in your lifetime. For over 40 years, I've been preparing for this moment. I've guided transformational journeys around the world, including a deeply sacred pilgrimage to Egypt in the year 2023. I know this land, I know its power, and I know why you are being called there now. Registration closes June 30th, 2026, and early bird pricing ends May 30th, 2026. You can go to my website, theawakenedpath.com, and right there on the homepage, go to the Golden Threshold and sign up for this moment. Your soul already knows. And welcome back after this pause. We've been talking about this conversation about what if you've been here before, what if you've been and done this before, and how we truly are in a body that is not random. We chose this body, we chose this lineage, we chose this time on earth, and that's fundamental to understand. We spoke a little bit about time and how we interpret time and how we can really take a new look at what time is, not this linear construct, but actually a thing that happens everywhere and everywhere at the same time, like this wobbly thing. And that really opens us into a myriad of possibilities. And one of them is this aspect that there's multiple dimensions or timelines. People have been using this word a lot, timelines. And also the fact that, yes, we can access that information, the information that is in the field through the ability of moving beyond the veil. And we all have, by the way, every human being is born with the wiring or the biology to access the beyond the veils, but many of us have closed that through conditioning or through never being taught how to do it. And many of us here and now today, like myself, are fully open in their ability to channel and to access the multidimensional aspects of our being and the perceived pasts and potential futures, and also past lives, and help you access that. What matters about that is that beyond our own experiences, that, as we mentioned, are part of um, who we are, so that we can carry that as acumen, both in the negative and in the positive. So traumatic experiences will have us either repeat them and attract more of the same, or heal them so that we can be free and move into a more broader expression of who we are. And we are doing that in a linear aspect on 3D, but we're also now being able very much to access the other dimensions, especially 4 and 5D, and many others, really. And there are doorways in this timeline that you are, that when you are aware they are coming, that they're approaching you, or you're approaching them, depending upon the perspective. Is time coming towards you, or are you going towards time? But in the end, it's the same. If you are aware that this is a doorway we call them portals, right? A porta in Latin means door. In Italian, porta means door. In Spanish, puerta means door. So portal means a doorway, okay? So if we are aware of these doorways, then we can use that moment in time to step through the threshold of that doorway with intentionality and truly access another reality for ourselves. This may sound up in there, but I'm being very practical. I'm meaning another reality as in you truly can begin co-creating with the universe with more awareness of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And if you remember either last episode or 2 episodes past, I've spoken about the aspect of manifestation that is not normally told. And if you watch that episode, it expands on this that I'm saying right now. But for now, to keep going in this conversation about portals and doorways, we also have vortices. And I differentiate. I think most every spiritual teacher or guide out there does the same differentiation. So we speak about a vortex when we're talking about a doorway or a portal that is physically on a place on land. So we call them vortexes because what is a vortex? Is something that twirls, a vortex of energy, right? And in these places on Earth where there are vortexes of energy, the energy literally swirls like that. If you can see it, you see it. For example, in Sedona, for those of you that have been to Sedona, or you can Google Sedona and look, the plants through the vortexes in Sedona are literally all twisted in and of themselves. You can see a tree growing in a spiral form because the tree is standing on the vortex and the energy is having the tree grow in that spiral form. So, for the purpose of this conversation, and to be clear, we're going to say a vortex is about an energy doorway on the land, anywhere. And there's vortexes that are well known, like Sedona or Egypt or Mount Shasta or a million more, Hawaii, many places in Hawaii. And there's vortexes in land that are not necessarily well known. They could be anywhere, even in your garden, you may have one and you're not aware of. And then we speak about doorways and portals and gateways of time when is a moment on our life that some things are happening cosmically at a cosmic level with planets, and we say that's a doorway. For example, very well known doorways are eclipses. Eclipses are times where Earth, the moon, and the sun align in perfect formation. And we have full moon eclipses when the full moon is having the full reflection of the sun rays, and the Earth steps in the middle and obscures the light of the sun that gets to the moon. And then we have eclipses that are solar eclipses, solar of the sun, and that is when the sun and the earth are aligned and the moon steps in the middle and obscures the ability of the earth to have the sunlight. And eclipses are historically known for moments in which things shift. It's almost, well, it's not almost, is literally as if creator is turning the big switch of the light off and then on and does a reset at a certain level. And that doorway in this background that I'm using reflects that moment. This time around, we're coming to huge, very clear portals for humanity. And we have a full solar eclipse this year on August the 12th, 2026. It's going to be seen in south of Spain, traversing areas of the United Kingdom, up through Greenland, I believe, and then up over the Arctic through Russia, like a little curve there. And it's in the zodiac sign of Leo. It's at the time known as the Lionsgate portal. And it's a very potent moment in time. And it is a preparation for us. And I'm going to have a whole conversation about this next time because it's very broad. And then a year from now, a year from that solar eclipse, we're going to have another solar eclipse also on August 2nd of the year 2027. And it's also in Leo, it's also through Lionsgate portal, and it is peeking through Egypt, Luxor to be specific, the Mediterranean. There's a curve there, and it's going to be lasting 6 minutes and 23 seconds, which is the longest eclipse of the century, of this lifetime. Eclipses normally last about 2 minutes, 2 minutes and some. And part of what my guidance has been saying and telling me to share is that it's going to be during that eclipse in 2027 that humanity is going to have a huge reset, and we're going to quantum leap into a new order. Things are going to keep going in acceleration up until then. And we have to prepare, we have to do the work in our own lives, getting all those cosmic breadcrumbs that are coming our way, understanding why they are here, what is it that I'm meant to do, so that when that threshold comes, we can leap and we are not getting hurt because if we don't do the work, we're not going to be able to move through this energetic. And it is because of this that I'm offering a lot of support. I will do this year during Lionsgate, a free Lionsgate activation for all of you that want to come. If this is something you want, make sure you follow me so that you can have that information when it's available. I'm doing an activation on a monthly basis so that you can really get the support as you go. I'm offering a lot of support to get us all there on time. So I'm showing these two big portals because they're enormous, but there's many. Any and every new moon is one of these thresholds. Any full moon is one of these thresholds. The equinoxes, the solstices, the midsummer, all of these moments where Earth moves through the cosmos and there's a special alignment of the Earth and the sun and the planets, or when there's many of these astrological setups, like what happened when Neptune and Saturn came together like they hadn't been together in 6,400 years. Yes, 6,400 years. Like I said in one of the earlier episodes too, when they were at 0 degrees of Aries, initiating a huge new cycle for humanity. These are all doorways, and these are all doorways, each with their own energetic, and each energetic supports us in different ways. And that's why it's important to understand, okay, so what is this energy that is coming with the portals? So the solar eclipses that I discussed, we're going to talk about that next time. It's a whole conversation. The past new moon that we had on Saturday, this Taurus new moon that we've just passed, this grounding, challenging, energetic, we just moved through. There's so much to say about each one of these, and we can use them to support us in our journey, which brings us to, well, what is my journey? And I know, because I work in groups and I work individually, one of the biggest hurts and pains and soul yearnings that people are having right now is, why am I here? What am I meant to be doing here now? What is it that I'm meant to be doing? All kinds of questions about this question, all versions of this same question. And that's why right now I want to give you tips for you to dig in and understand better what is it you're meant to be doing here and why you're here now at this time of Earth. First of all, I want to say to you, if you're one of these people right now with that yearning, I want to say, wonderful, bravo, because that's exactly the last step into fully getting into the perfect course for you, for your life. And I've been there about, well, no, let's say I've been there my whole life and I finally figured out part of why I'm here now about 10 years ago. And I remember how painful it was to keep asking and not getting clarity about the reason why I am here on Earth at this time. And at the time is why I was here on Earth at that time. So the first thing I learned is that that longing that you have to understand why you're here, that longing that you have to know what you don't even know what it is you want to know. You just know. You have a leaning into kind of energy and you can't explain what that longing is. And sometimes that longing is about wanting to be in a certain place. Sometimes is a longing that is a knowing, and it arrives before the thought can really make sense of it. It's something that you just know that there's something you're meant to do and you don't know exactly what it is. There's um, people that you meet and you feel, oh my God, they feel like family. I feel like I've known you my whole life. Bingo, soul tribe. You've met souls that are part of your soul family. And souls that are part of our soul family are like coming home. It's so wonderful. So all of these are tuning into that purpose, the reason why you're here. And the soul recognizes those places on earth that feel like home, if, even when you've never been there. For example, I took a group to Egypt in the year 2023, and it was crazy because Egypt helps you work with the shadow part of you, and obviously the shadow part of everybody in the group. So you can imagine that having a group in Egypt, we were 12 of us, and everybody's dealing with their own shadow, including myself, because I'm not exempt. And I'm trying to keep the group in harmony as we are going to the different temples, which are bringing up a lot more of that stuff. I had never been to Egypt in this lifetime at the time, but I had had memories and past life regressions of two lifetimes in Egypt I knew of. When we visit the first temple that we visit at the time, Abu Simbel, I hadn't had a lifetime memory of anything related to it. And I enter the temple and I'm washed by this grief, and I'm folded in two, crying. Like I can't even walk through the temple, and the people are there. My group is there, and thank God I had an Egyptologist with us, and he's leading people around, and I'm like moving to a corner of the temple and sitting on the ground and like allowing the grief to come through, and I'm saying, what is this? What is this? What is this? And so I'm very clearly informed that I was um, this concubine of the Pharaoh. And oh, wow. I can't even believe the memories are coming. And I'm thinking, oh, this is my mind telling me this. This is my mind. So I don't say anything about this. I keep it inside. This is like the second day in the tour. Okay. So we keep going. The tour keeps going. And at some point, it was like a 20-day tour. So two-thirds into the tour, we go to the Valley of the Kings, which is the where the pharaohs' tombs are, and then we go to the Valley of the Queens, where there's tombs of the wives of the pharaohs and important concubines and stuff. So we happen, one of the tombs that was open and available happened to be one of the ones that I had the regression for. So that was already weird because there's only like three tombs available at a time and they rotate them through the year. You can't visit all of them, the ones you want. So this one is open. So I enter the tomb, and again, I'm like overwhelmed. And another person in the group is receiving information to support me. And so she takes me into one of the little rooms and locks the door, pretending to be taking pictures so that I can be in that room and do whatever process I have to do. And then when we go back to the bus, she turns around and she says, I'm meant to tell you that yes, what you're remembering is true. Yes, you were this person. And that blew my mind because I hadn't told anybody and I wasn't owning it. And she's like, I'm meant to be the courier telling you that this is real. And when this happens, it's powerful. And then on another temple, I had had a recollection that I had been an oracle for that pharaoh in the temple of Dendera at the time. And again, this time I knew of it. I had several journeys into past lives remembering this, and we get there. And again, I am overwhelmed by the energy and I can't even walk. I'm dizzy. I'm going to faint. It's wild. And that's why, because of this and many, 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 many other experiences I've had that were amazing and so real, I can tell you this is real. This is my reality. This is how I work. I can access the other dimensions and I can help you understand that too. If you want, if you're needing more clarity on your path, make sure that you contact me on my website or you book directly from my website, theawakenedpath.com, a multidimensional reading, and I can take you there. But the patterns of this lifetime, what's important is that they make sense. So, yearnings you have, desires you have, inklings you have, all things that seemingly come out of nowhere, treasure them. they're guiding you. Those are the cosmic breadcrumbs. If you are yearning to visit a place, you are meant to visit that place. If you are yearning to study something, to knit, paint, dance, whatever it is, whatever yearnings are coming, they're not random. They are there because your soul is reminding you that that is part of your soul's path and you're meant to move through that. And another tip that is key, and please remember this, the soul knows the way through joy. If you're not feeling joy, you are not on your soul's path. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can feel joy crunching numbers. You can feel joy being a mom. You can feel joy being just single and just traveling around the world. Whatever it is you want to do, if that brings you joy, that's what your soul is here to do. Because some souls are here to relax because they have had such gruesome past lifetimes that they're here to have a joyride and not to be doing the hard work. And that's enough. And that's okay too. But make sure you don't think you're here to have a joyride if you're not, if you're here to do work because we need you and we need to have you doing what you're here to be doing, not just la la land and not doing what you're meant to be doing. So I do want to let you know that I have a handout called the Soul Embodiment Map. And it is truly to help you understand how your soul is embodied in your body. And you can download it on the description of this video. And it helps you to tune into ways in which you're fully embodied and ways in which your body and your soul are indicating if things are aligned or things are not aligned. I invite you to download it. It's also on my website. So you can also go to theawakenedpath.com if you're listening to this and you're walking as a podcast and you can want to come back to it and you don't remember where it was. My website, theawakenedpath.com, which for now I'm sure and I'm hoping that you've saved somewhere so you can come to it oftentimes and you can download it through the gifts voice on the menu and download the Soul Embodiment Map. As we approach the end of today's conversation or today's talk show, I want to reunite, let's say, bring it all together for you. This conversation we've had. You are a multidimensional being. You've been here before. When you I should say before going into the bringing it all together, one aspect I forgot to mention is that déjà vu, and that's in line with all the things we were saying when you meet somebody or you've been in a place and you feel I've been there before. That's probably information about past lifetimes. You either met that person in a past lifetime or you've been in that location in a past lifetime. Déjà vus are one of the strongest and most common experiences of this incarnation journey that we're on this game that is life on Earth. And yeah, so yeah, bringing it all together, we are multidimensional beings. We program our lives with our divine team and with the support of our soul tribe, and we ensure that we mark certain points along the way that no matter if we make all the wrong decisions, if we forget to recognize all the right people, we are still going to pass through that milestone because that milestone is key and crucial for my experience in this lifetime so that this experience is not wasted since incarnation is not simple, easy, and it requires a lot of courage and it requires a lot of stamina, especially because part up until now, because this is changing, but up until now, part of the agreement was when you incarnate, you're going to pass through the bard going in and through the bard going out. And when you're going through the bard going in, you are being swiped clean of all memories and all knowings of why you're going to Earth so that you're really landing with a blank slate. You have no idea what you're here, why you're here, who are these people, and all of that stuff. And new souls that are coming to earth will not have this, but you've had this. So you've come to earth, you have this divine team that you've agreed upon what this path is. You can access all dimensions beyond this perceived reality. We all are wired to access that. If you are not able to do it for yourself, you can work with somebody that can. There's many, many out there that can. I can too help you if you wish. And that yearning you have of understanding why you're here, what you're here for, is guidance. It's your soul indicating the path. Remember that the people you meet, the places you go, the places that are calling you to go, the teachers that are calling you to learn with them, these are all parts of soul tribe and places you've been that you need to go, and people you need to connect with. This is all information that your soul is tuning into. And as such, these are the ones that you have to pay attention to. Use them like the soul crumbs or cosmic crumbs, just like Hansel and Gretel, to find your way. Lean into that and don't discard that yearning. Don't discard that information, that questioning, that thing that is asking you to lean in. And remember that the soul recognizes the path through joy. If joy is not there, you're veered off path. And I do invite you to contact me to go deep with any of these topics on my website, theawakenedpath.com. Under contact me, you can send me a note and we can go from there. And there's many things you can access directly from my website, like especially for today, a multidimensional reading. I thank you so much for being here. I'm passionate about this topic, as you can probably tell. It's been a pleasure to have the opportunity to share this with you. Much love and light. Thank you for joining me, Shakti Bottazzi, on the Soul Wisdom Project, Remembering the Living Blueprint of the Soul. Tune in every first and third Tuesday each month at 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Continue your journey of conscious embodiment, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Deepen your exploration through my book, Remembering Her, a Soul Embodiment Journey, and discover mentoring and retreats at theawakenedpath.com. Healing is possible. Your journey is sacred design in motion. To put overwhelm in your past, contact me at www.theawakenedpath.com. Stay awake, stay aligned, and keep living your soul's wisdom. See you next time.